Studio City residents are going to be able to come and enjoy much more than they can now with an event center. So I really think that this, when this is done, Studio City as a whole is going to see this as a significant improvement that still retains all that was most precious about the Sportsman's Lodge.
The $60 million project will feature 5 restaurants, 20 shops, and a 40,000 square foot fitness center. And for one woman who's lived in Studio City her entire life, the new venue will be a welcome change.
I really enjoyed the venue my whole life. I grew up around here, but I think it got kind of run down, and even though it was a wonderful place in its heyday, I think that it's had its time, and I'm looking forward to the little shopping mall and the fitness center. I think it'll be fun.
I think it's necessary, and if people don't think so, they need to get over it, because it's really, the time is now.
If everything goes according to plan, Weintraub hopes to get started on the project at the end of the year. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
Meanwhile, the adjacent Sportsman's Lodge Hotel will remain the same. A new study by a major university supports what many working women have suspected for years, that their male counterparts make considerably more money, and not just nationally, but locally, from San Pedro to the Valley. As Gil Reyes reports, the city is taking action.
There were female cops and female firefighters. All kinds of working women from male-dominated fields gathered to hear results of a first-of-its-kind study. The conclusion's clear, even to kids in attendance.
A lot of women don't get the same opportunities as men, and I think that even though we're a little different, we should have the same opportunities.
The report, conducted by Mount St. Mary's University, is called The Status of Women and Girls in Los Angeles. It examined wage disparities between the sexes, specifically within city limits. Results showed women earn only 84 cents for every dollar men make. Not surprising to Valley Council member Nury Martinez. The only female on the 15-member LA City Council urged more women to run for public office.
Women who run get elected at the same rate as men. We just need to ensure that they're taking the risk and running for office. And many aren't, because they just don't have the support system that enables them to still take care of their families at home.
LA Mayor Eric Garcetti says he's taken steps to lend support. In a dramatic shift from previous administrations, 3 out of 4 of his hand-picked deputy mayors are women. And out of 12 new hires for general manager positions, half are also women. With his wife Amy Wakeland in attendance, Garcetti urged more men to lend support for the next generation of women.
We want to see a level playing field that every girl in the city can grow up and say, that's what I want to be. And I can see somebody there, and I can see myself there as well.
Other people are fighting battles that maybe I don't know about, so I should be an ally and help them have the same equality as I do.
To help close the city's gender gap. At Mount St. Mary's University, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Findings also show women of color at a distinct disadvantage, even though they comprise 72% of the city's female population. A limited edition postage stamp featuring author and poet Maya Angelou also features a glaring error. The quote on the stamp isn't hers, but that didn't stop longtime fans from attending the stamp's Los Angeles unveiling. Here's Andrew Tarr.
1, 2, 3.
Despite an embarrassing misquote from the U.S. Postal Service, friends of the late Dr. Maya Angelou say she would have been flattered. The Postal Service honors the acclaimed author and actress by placing her image on a commemorative stamp. Actor Robert Hooks remembers Angelou.
I would describe her as just a giant in the black cultural movement and in the cultural movement of the United States.
Angelou broke barriers with her 1969 autobiography entitled I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, a vivid depiction of African-American life in the South, which leads us to the quote on the stamp. A bird doesn't sing because it has an answer, it sings because it has a song. The Washington Post reports the words don't actually belong to Angelou, but to another writer, Joan Walsh Angland. The fact that both authors referenced a bird in their respective works helped fuel the confusion for decades. Despite the error, fans gathered for the Forever Stamp's Los Angeles unveiling at the Museum of African American Art. While autographing event programs for fans, Councilman Herb Wesson was asked who he'd like to see on the next commemorative stamp.
What's your name? Mike. Mike. No. I am a supporter of the Tom Bradley, Mayor Tom Bradley stamp effort.
Let's just hope the U.S. Postal Service gets it right next time. I'm Andrew Tarr for LA This Week.
Folks at the U.S. Postal Service aren't the only ones who've made that mistake. President Obama has also publicly attributed that quote to Angelou. The governor mandates drastic water use reductions. Water was also a hot topic at a recent UCLA symposium, and the city's garbage trucks go green as another clean fuel fueling station opens up. These stories in City Beat. Governor Jerry Brown's mandatory order to reduce water use by 25% was met with praise by LA Mayor Eric Garcetti. The governor's announcement followed the state's snow survey that showed the snowpack at 6% of normal and at the lowest on record. The mayor had issued a directive last October for the city to cut its water consumption. Since the mayor's announcement in October, the mayor says Los Angeles has reduced its water consumption by 7 gallons per capita per day, and the city is on track to meet its goal of 20% reduction by 2017. Matt Peterson, Chief Sustainability Officer for the City of Los Angeles, was on hand recently at the UCLA Green Building Symposium to discuss the city's plan toward a future that is environmentally healthy and economically prosperous. And one of the biggest concerns toward achieving that goal is, of course, water.
We need to change how we use water. How do we make sure that that drop of water that comes from hundreds of miles away, that we see it as precious, that we no longer just keep the faucet running or water our front lawn that never gets used, and really begin to change our values and how we associate with that use of the water.
Peterson says part of that change in our value system needs to extend to our front lawns, making drought-tolerant landscaping the new normal and the object of aspiration. The LA Bureau of Sanitation recently cut the ribbon on its 6th compressed natural gas, or CNG, fueling station, this one at the West Los Angeles Sanitation District Yard. The CNG fueling station will provide natural gas fueling service to sanitation vehicles operating in the West LA Collection District.
We want to get to having 100% of our fleet on clean fuel. It's important for our neighborhoods, and it's important for the city. It makes no sense to have a sanitation truck that comes to your house and picks up your trash but leaves behind invisible pollution for you to breathe.
Currently, over 75% of LA Sanitation's solid resources collection fleet uses clean fuel. A big part of downtown tourism is drawing big conventions to our convention center. And this week there was some great news as WonderCon announced its move to LA for its 2016 convention. And that's the focus of This Week in Tweets. WonderCon has been held in Anaheim since 2012, and before that in the Bay Area. WonderCon is considered the sister show to Comic-Con, embracing similar aspects of that show, including comics, movies, TV, animation, and more, with fans dressing up to attend autograph signings and celebrity panels. And you're seeing photos shared on Twitter with the hashtag WonderCon2015. LA Convention Center also shared several tweets after the good news. One said, hashtag comics, cosplay, movies, TV, animation fans. WonderCon will debut in LA in 2016. We can't wait. At LA Mayor's office tweeted, LA is where entertainment comes to life. We are proud to announce that WonderCon is coming to LA in 2016. And the 2016 WonderCon at the Convention Center will be held March 25th to the 27th. And according to the LA Convention Center, the projected total economic impact for LA is over $32 million over the 3-day period. In this week's list of things to do, Earth Day at the Zoo, a picnic experience downtown like none you've ever had, and Alvin Ailey at the Music Center. The LA Zoo is throwing a bash to celebrate the 45th anniversary of Earth Day, and you're invited. The 2-day event on Saturday and Sunday, April 18th and 19th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. will feature opportunities to explore and learn about animal conservation and preservation and sustainable living for human beings. The different stations range from one where visitors discover the range of critters living in their own backyards to another where you can get close and personal to a desert tortoise, California's state reptile. All Earth Day Expo activities are included with paid admission to the zoo. The LA Zoo is located at 5333 Zoo Drive. Go to lazoo.org for more information. And this is not your ordinary picnic. On Saturday, April 18th from noon to 4 p.m., grab your picnic basket of goodies and head on over to the Grand Park event lawn between Broadway and Spring for this one-of-a-kind communal picnic experience. You can put your creative picnic spread on display for a chance to win tickets and a picnic basket to the Hollywood Bowl. There's even butter aerobics. Event organizers will provide the cream and you provide the manpower to churn it into butter. How about bringing your own dough to bake in the mobile bread oven? Food trucks will also be on hand for the picnicker without a picnic basket. Go to grandparkla.org for all the delicious details. And catch Alvin Ailey at the Music Center in the month of April. Led by Alvin Ailey and a group of young African-American modern dancers, a now fabled performance in March 1958 at the 92nd Street Y in New York City changed forever the perception of American dance. Since then, the Ailey Company has gone to perform for an estimated 25 million people at theaters in 48 states and 71 countries on 6 continents. The Dorothy Chandler Pavilion box office is located at 135 North Grand Avenue downtown. Go to musiccenter.org for dates and times and ticket purchasing information. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook or check us out on Twitter. That's at LATW35. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Again? Hey, Dad. Dad.
There are other ways of saving money and energy around your house. Did you know that LADWP is now offering cash rebates for you to retrofit your home to be more energy and water efficient? It's good for California, and it's good for Dad. Let's make California a better place to live, starting with our homes. To get your rebates, go to www.ladwp.com/save.
Not it.
Kevin from Chatsworth, offering you a taste of New Orleans since 1986. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.
Sergeants, please call the members. Good morning. Today is Friday, April 17th. We're glad to be here at our Valley City Hall. We want to welcome everyone. Madam Clerk, I believe we have a quorum. Could you please call the roll?
Blumenfeld, Bonnet, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Weezer, Cresco, Coin, Labange, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Wesson. 10 members present, a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Corretz moves, Labange seconds. Next.
Committed to resolutions for approval.
Mr. Fuentes moves, Mr. Buscaino seconds. Next.
Mr. President, would you wish to run through the agenda?
Yeah, let's do that.
Item 1 is an item for which public hearing has been held.
Cards.
Public hearing has been held.
Oh, okay, let's vote on that. Let's, I don't see any speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay. So what are we on now? Items 2 through 4?
Yes, items 2 through 4 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration, and there are cards on all 3 items.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before this body. You said there are cards on every one of them, so let's move. We'll hold those items. And let me see, is it too early?
Yes, it's too early for the special.
So why don't I look to Mr. Fuentes and for a presentation?
Yes, Mr. President, before you go to presentations, on the continuation agenda, items 6 and 7 are items for which public hearings have not been held.
Okay, so without objection, those items are before us. Do we have cards?
Yes, there's cards.
I figured as much. Okay, Mr. Fuentes, the floor is yours.
Very good. Let's go ahead and have soccer behind me. Very good. All right. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to, colleagues, have you all welcome, please, with your applause, the Verdugo Hills High School ladies soccer team. Give them a big round of applause. The Dons, and Mr. Labange, we know that we've got another very famous Don in our midst. Detective Sergeant Harry Edo is also a Verdugo Hills Don. Colleagues, the Verdugo Hills High School girls soccer team recently won their City Division III championship. The Dons' victory over Maywood Academy clinched the second City Section Division III title in the program's history. This was a hard-fought victory which went to penalty kicks after the teams were unable to score in regulation. Bryce Flores, the freshman goalkeeper, where are you? Raise your hand. Not here. Oh, boy. Taking a test. We'll let her off the hook. Blocked all 3 penalty kicks. She blocked all 3 penalty kicks, and then Danielle, raise your hand, Gelsinger, Beth Blackwell, and Kelsey Stanford each made their penalty kicks for a 3-1 shootout victory.
Let's give them a round of applause for making those kicks. Yeah.
With this victory, Verdugo Hills coach Matt Nichita became the first coach to win back-to-back titles in any sport in school history. This title would not be possible without the support of the parents, the coaching staff, and the school administration. And we're joined today by Dr. Tremis, our great principal at Verdugo Hills High School. And so give them a big round of applause as the ladies volleyball team comes on up. So soccer, you stand right here. No, let's stand here. Everybody get up here. Champions over here. More champions over here. All right.
We have a room of champions, Mr. Fuentes.
We do, and the 7th Council District's been on a roll. I feel like we're bringing every high school in, which is so fantastic. So behind me, colleagues, I want you to give them a round of applause, too, is the Verdugo Hills Schoolgirls volleyball team. Give them a round of applause. They won their City Section 3 championship as well. They defeated Franklin High School to bring home the crown to Verdugo. This team is the first girls volleyball team to qualify for the CIF state playoffs in school history. The players had a fantastic game over Franklin. Of course, their victory would not have been without the leadership of their coach, Will Reinhardt, who motivates his players day in and day out to compete. But what we've got at Verdugo Hills High School, colleagues, is something real special. You have a tremendous athletic program, and they do fantastic work there. But academically, too, they're doing fantastic as well. They also have a Future Farmers of America program. They have a design studio to teach people in the multimedia arts, as Mr. Krikorian is well familiar. And they've got teachers and an administration that work hand in hand to make sure that the school at the Rock, Verdugo Hills High School, is doing the best that they can. So with that, I'd like to invite Dr. Tremis to say a few words about the great things that are happening at Verdugo Hills. Give him a round of applause.
Welcome, Doctor. Welcome.
We're really proud of everything we're doing at Verdugo, and I think one of the things that's a standout, besides a beautiful location in the hills, where we are in San Latahanga, it's just gorgeous, is we really support our academic program in a very strong way, but along with that, we realize that there are other things that are important besides just academics, and so that's why our athletics program is very supported. We offer actually, with this fall, with adding wrestling, every support available in CIFF we are offering at Verdugo, which is tremendous. In addition to athletics, our arts program is very strong. We have a comprehensive arts program with all arts disciplines, with drama, visual art, music, and dance, and it's also very strong. And then lastly, our connection with the community is very, very strong. We have camps for our elementary kids every year in football, in cheer, and in glee club, and very good connections with the schools. We do presentations and work with our elementary schools at all the elementary schools each year, and it's great. Really a wonderful place to be. I'm very, very proud of the work that our students do, the work that our teachers and the staff do. Verdugo is rocking, and it is a good place to be.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Welcome. Mr. Fuentes, I do have another council member on the queue, Mr. Labange.
Yeah, I just wanted to rise to salute Verdugo Hills. Very proud of the Northern League team, all the teams, but also remind us that 31 years ago when the Olympic Games were here was the first time we had women's marathon in the games, and Title IX and all the activity. This is great to see the young ladies as champions for their school and for our city. And congratulations to the fine councilman of the district and the previous councilman of the area. Just to give him a little credit, too. He got that loading zone for the bus, because if it wasn't for the bus stop, you couldn't go to the other schools to play. Go Verdugo Hills. Good job from a Marshall High guy. Thank you.
So, colleagues, the last thing that I'll say is I was on campus on Monday touring the school, and Mr. Krikorian, as chair of budget and finance, we're going to need your help. They've got a pool there, the Verdugo Hills pool. It used to be that it belonged to Verdugo Hills High School, and now Rec and Parks has it. We got to get it open year-round for their aquatics program. There you go. Give the Lady Dons a big round of applause. Good job, guys. All right. Thank you. Good job. Who are the captains? All right.
And again, congratulations to you all.
Captains over here? All right. Great job, guys. So we've got a bunch of certificates. The staff's going to just follow past you. And we're going to give you some certificates. All right?
Mr. Blumenfield, I'd like to, as the champions depart, I'd like to recognize you.
Wait for Mr. Burdine to come join me here. Limping along. I'll ask you what happened to your foot after. Colleagues, today we get to recognize someone very special. Someone, Sarah Burdine. She not only serves on the LA Domestic Violence Task Force, she has been a tremendous leader in the area of domestic violence, and she is retiring, and I wanted to recognize the work that she has done. For more than 28 years, she has been a leader, an advocate, a forward thinker in this area, not only helping prevent domestic violence, but really serving the victims of domestic violence in new and unique ways, and not only serving incredibly, but really helping push the whole field forward in so many ways. She started her career back with Haven Hills in December of 1987 as backup staff for the crisis shelter. Involved the basics. You got to learn from the ground up, answering the crisis line, providing counseling and support for shelter residences. In '89, she was hired as a family counselor to provide individual and group counseling and other support services. She was there till 1995, and she was hired as assistant director of the agency. But she was recognized even then as someone who was a leader. And Haven Hills was adding an 18-month transitional shelter program back then, and Sarah was responsible for overseeing the project, including capital development and construction. She showed that she could not only serve the people every day, but she could help build that organization. Her talents were quickly recognized, and she was appointed in 2006 as the acting executive director, and then became hired as the executive director of Haven Hills. And for those of you who don't know Haven Hills, I mean, it is one of the premier organizations here in the Valley serving domestic violence victims. And she's represented Haven Hills on the Los Angeles County Domestic Violence Council. She served as the Shelter Directors Committee co-chair in the past. She's acted as the City of Los Angeles Council District 3 appointed representative to that council. And frankly, she has been, for me, someone who I turn to on this issue and on many things throughout the years. When I was in the State Assembly and I wanted to do some legislation on this issue, I did a bill, AB 2483, to help stalking victims. Who did I turn to? I turned to Sarah, who would help create and help make that happen. When I wanted to get a domestic violence summit together, talked around to it, but really, we got a lot of compliments on that summit, and it did a lot of things, but this is the person who, behind the scenes, made it happen and who helped, my team make it happen, who was the liaison with the community. So, I hate to show your secret weapon sometimes, but Sarah Burdine is really, for me on this issue has been, amazing. And so we wanted to recognize your retirement after these many years, and not just me as your council member, but the entire council. And every member of this council has signed this, along with the mayor, our council president. So please accept this resolution honoring your retirement.
Thank you. And thank you so very much.
Thank you for many, many years of wonderful service. Can I get a
Janet. All right, she's ready to retire. Moving that fast, Mr. Blumenfield. Because I thought you might give us a little bit more.
Councilman Weston, how can I walk away without saying anything to you and this council? You know how important domestic violence is. It's a public safety issue, which I hope the city continues to recognize. The programs need the support, and without the actual support of the supportive services and the domestic violence programs, victims couldn't begin to move forward. So we've worked and partnered for years with the city. In fact, from the time I started, the City of Los Angeles has been helping all of the programs in the city keep their doors open. And for that, I want to thank you, and I hope that you continue to recognize it as the public safety issue for the city and a public health issue for women and children. And again, it's been many years. It's hard to believe that 28 of them has gone by, but thank you, and I'm thrilled to be honored by this council and the city.
But let me just thank you for doing the Lord's work. Thank you for changing lives. Thank you for saving lives. Thank you just so very much. What you do is the work of angels. So again, thank you. Let's give her another round of applause. I would now like to call up Ms. Martinez for another presentation.
Good morning, Mr. President, colleagues. Don't be shy. You guys got to move in a little bit closer here. There we go. I'm missing one thing. Do you have Good morning. It's my honor to welcome the Dibel Neighborhood Watch group from Arleta to the council this morning. I've had the pleasure of working with this group for over 18 months since I got elected. And one of the things that was mostly so wonderful about this group is these group of residents not only live in that community, but they've been tireless, advocates for the community of Arleta. Not only do they ensure that their neighborhood is intact and clean and that LAPD is responding to their issues, but they also go above and beyond and make sure that other communities and other neighborhood watches and the community of Arleta are just as active. And so very often, Robert Mercado, you will see him in other areas in Arleta and even outside of Arleta, trying to ensure and empower other community members to take pride in their neighborhood and to take ownership and to partner with our office to make sure that the quality of life issues are something that everyone can take a lot of pride in and that we're constantly working on. So it's my pleasure to have them here. They're celebrating their 5 years of existence, and in 2013 I began to work with them because they had a rash of car break-ins in the neighborhood, and we got together with LAPD, and soon after that they were able to apprehend the person who was actually committing these types of crimes in the neighborhood. It just goes to show you that a group of residents can absolutely make a difference in a neighborhood, and working with LAPD and working with the City of Los Angeles does make a difference. It's why I'm such a believer of the Neighborhood Watch program, why I'm the captain of my Neighborhood Watch program in Sun Valley in my neighborhood, and Robert Mercado is the captain of his Neighborhood Watch, and why so many of them are so active in the community of Arleta. So often you would find them not only coordinating with the Northeast Graffiti Busters for graffiti abatement, but you will also find them along Arleta Avenue, Branford, Towpath, and other areas, and Wingo Avenue, actually doing a lot of the weed abatement and cleaning up the streets and doing a lot of these community cleanups that are so necessary on the weekends and on their own time. So with that, I wanted to congratulate all of you on your 5 years of existence, and it's a pleasure to not only serve and represent you, but to be a real partner in making sure that Arleta and its quality of life is something that we continue to preserve. Did you want to say a few words, Robert Mercado? The captain of Dibel Neighborhood Watch Group.
What I want to say, thanks to all your support and your resources through your office, this is possible. So, in behalf of my community and myself, I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. I don't know if you want to invite the rest of the council, but every year since their inception, they had a block party, and they have one of the best block parties in the valley. They really do. It's tomorrow. It starts at noon. On Dibel, and it's their 5th year anniversary, and we're going to have a great time, and we're going to be celebrating with great food. We're all going to take our families and share in the celebration of your organization. I also want to recognize the members of the group: John Dye, Magda Camacho, Gonzalo Camacho, Ricardo Lara, Alma Viltorio, Fernand Espiritu, Damel Espiritu, Renee Lopez, and Navo Garcia are some of the members of the Dibel Neighborhood Watch Group. Again, congratulations, and thank you very much for your tireless work. We have certificates for all of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and again, thanks for all of the work you do for our city and your community. Let's see now, why don't we take up item 2? Let's ask Mr. Gross to please come forward. We have some public comment. So I'd like to start off, Larry, with bringing up James Johnson and Daniel Gus. So please, Larry, have a seat. Let's listen to the public comment, and then we'll move from that point. Mr. Johnson.
Good morning, Council President Wesson, members of the council. James Johnson, SEIU Local 721. Simply wanted to say a few words about Larry Gross, who I've known for more than 30 years. He's frankly one of the reasons why I do the work that I do. One of the first internships I got when I was 17, 18 was working for CES. So if it's his fault. But as somebody that owns a dog and a cat that we got out of the city shelters, Larry Gross has been really tireless in hearing from our members who do this arduous work, find out how things can do better. and trying to figure out how we can deepen the partnership with the department to basically do what has to be done, which is to make sure that abused and neglected animals get cared for and get loving homes. And I know Larry's about that, Local 72 is about that, and our members are about that. So we're really proud to support his renomination to the Animal Services Commission. Thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Gus Daniel, please come forward.
Okay, good morning. Let's see what Mr. Gross can tell you about his first term at Animal Services. He had no humane experience before getting appointed, but now that he's served a term, can he tell us why there's no Spanish on the website? It would take a couple of college students a week or two to put the website in Spanish. So how come a commission? Let's hear what a commissioner has to say about the lack of Spanish. Animal Services is on the verge of being audited by the city. How about Mr. Gross telling us what areas of the department should be audited? Maybe Mr. Gross can tell us the whereabouts of thousands of animals that are in the foster program. Animal Services can't. Let's see what Mr. Gross can do to explain that. The city gets virtually no revenue from licensing. You only sell about 120,000 licenses a year. As a result, you can't do as much. Can Mr. Gross tell us where is the revenue for the department that it should be collecting? County does 250% more revenue collection in dog licensing. Can Mr. Gross explain that? Can Mr. Gross explain the failed spay-neuter program in Mr. Fuentes' district? Can Mr. Gross tell you what educational programs are going out to spread spay-neuter and adoption in the city? There aren't any. Where is Mr. Gross's explanation? Don't just vote yes. Ask the man the questions. He had no experience to be appointed, but now that he's served a term, please ask him the questions. Also, Best Friends. I have an article coming out about Best Friends. In the last 5 years, Best Friends took in $259 million in donations. Ask Mr. Gross why Best Friends gets free animals, a free building, free maintenance, and free security. Ask the man some questions. Thank you.
Thank you. If I could now have Mr. Herman, a.k.a. Hood, Mr. Wayne Spindler from Encino, and Mr. Walsh.
Hello, everybody. I'm talking about animals today because we have a new person here who doesn't have the experience to deal with our animals. So again, if you're all listening, I brought my ears here today. Why does LA Animal Services have virtually no Spanish on the website? Are you racist? Second of all, the right to know, why does LA Animal Service not know whereabouts of thousands of animals that are homeless on our streets in Los Angeles? Don't you listen? So I'm not going to waste my time here. I know the gentleman was appointed by that Mayor Eric Garcetti, who has left millions and thousands of homeless people in the streets of LA, just like our animals. So I hold my time to 1 minute, Mr. Herbie. Bye.
Okay, Mr. Spindler.
Yes, to all dogs, a shout out. Okay, so this is the perfect person, very anti-Gloria Molina, very anti-reform, and he's rather rotund, so this would make an excellent addition to people who supervise pigs. So, I mean, this city is just going over the cliff. Enjoy it. Like when you're on a roller coaster and you know it's going to go right off and kill everybody on it, you might as well just enjoy the view while it goes down and you burn up in flames. That's the city of Los Angeles. Please appoint Mr. Pig and have him enjoy stealing more money and killing more abandoned animals. Thank you.
Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org and tweeting at J. Walsh Confidential. You can't see me at all. I'm under the upper left-hand corner. of your screen where it says item 2. They don't want to show my face. I'm a taxpayer. You show my face.
Stay on the item.
This is the item. And I'm going to tell you about Mr. Gross. Gross incompetence. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's Garcetti's lawyer. He got the job. And just want you to know that if you come here, your face won't be shown too, especially if it's black or brown or Jew.
Okay, Mr. Gross, maybe you could open up with, or Mr. Koretz, did you want to say anything? Or Larry, did you have anything to say?
Yes, if I can.
Yeah, well then, why don't we just go directly to Mr. Gross? Good to see you. Go right ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, first, I'd like to thank council members for considering my reappointment to this important position. And I want to thank the mayor for reappointing me. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to serve. And for a little over a year now, I've had the opportunity to work with some of the most devoted and committed staff and volunteers under the effective leadership of General Manager Brenda Barnett, as well as working closely and alongside my most dedicated commission colleagues. But more so, I've had the opportunity to give voice and protection to the voiceless and vulnerable, a tremendous responsibility and one that I do not take lightly. We've pledged to make Los Angeles a no-kill city, and we've come a long way in increasing animal adoptions and significantly reducing the euthanasia rate of shelter animals. But we definitely have to do a lot more to make that no-kill pledge a reality. And we must work even harder to reduce the shelter animal intake and increase adoptions. And we must do more to advance programs to ensure that dogs and cats, both adopted and homeless, are spayed and neutered. But your help is needed as well. Our department is significantly understaffed, as most departments are, but with the unique responsibility we have that directly cares for living animals, as well as providing a public safety to residents, it's ever more important that we have the adequate staff and resources to effectively undertake our obligations and duties. Clearly, our best chance of success is through a collaborative effort with the partnership of all the stakeholders. And it's that partnership that I'm committed to, and I believe I can continue to make happen. And with that, I thank you for providing me this opportunity and seek your support for my confirmation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Larry. Mr. Koretz.
Well, I've had the pleasure to know Larry Gross for more than a few years. Among other things, we were both involved in founding the city of West Hollywood over 30 years ago, although we actually met during the milk boycotts before that as one of the consumer activities that Larry and his organization were involved with. Larry's known for supporting renters and consumers, but that doesn't mean he's not a long-time friend of animals and someone who's been active in supporting animals for many years, long before his time on this commission. This is a difficult issue area. We've made a lot of progress. We have a long way to go, and I ask that you support Larry Gross for his reappointment. He's someone I consider a great ally in getting there. Thank you.
Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to rise and thank you, Larry, for your incredible service over the past year. You indeed have looked out for the voiceless for decades, and I think among our most, often neglected voiceless are our animals. And just through your first confirmation process, I kind of got to know your heart a little bit, and I think you're a perfect fit for this. And I just want to rise and thank you for your volunteerism, for your expertise, and for putting your heart and soul into this commission appointment, and really all that you're giving to the effort for a more humane Los Angeles, both in our animal world and in our tenant rights universe. I just wanted to rise and thank you for that. And also, I had the great pleasure of meeting your lovely wife just now. So the city thanks you for your service, and we look forward to confirming your reconfirming you on this post. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weezar.
Thank you. Just a quick echo of my colleagues and the support for this nomination. I've seen you take this job head on and very seriously and very committed to this. It's an agency that has gone through some ups and downs, and you recognize its shortcomings, you recognize its positives, and at the end of the day, that's a type of approach we need to move forward with. And so I appreciate your work. Our animal friends need champions like you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Members, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
It is approved. Congratulations, Mr. Gross.
Thank you very much.
All right, now let's go to item 4, called special by Mr. Spindler. Please come forward, item 4.
On behalf of all animals, I will pass.
Okay, let's prepare to vote on this item. Members, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, let us move on now to item 3, called special. I have cards. I've got Mr. Gus, Daniel, if you come forward, and Mr. Spindler, please come forward. On item 3.
Yeah, I may do just 1 minute on this. Our local hero, Zuma Dog, says that there are indictments coming down on the rent escrow account program. And I hope that you guys take into consideration that more often than not, Zuma Dog was right. Zuma Dog beat City Council, and he's saying that there are indictments coming down on the REAP program, which seems to inflict pain on small mom-and-pop businesses. The REAP program is a perfect example of how the city is not friendly to business, at least not to small business owners. And you torture these people. This may be their only source of income, it may be their only source of assets, and their only source of revenue. So I'd ask that you really tread lightly here. If Zuma Dog is right, indictments are coming down against certain people in the city for the REAP program. 1 minute. Thank you.
Thank you. If I could now have Mr. Herman, a.k.a. Hood, followed by, I guess it's Mr. Spindler. Please come forward. Okay, so Mr. Herman passes. Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, let us move on now to items 6 and 7. Mr. Weezar, I do have cards. If you want to kind of set these items up before we move forward.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. And these items were heard by the City Planning Commission and came to Plum this week. They were waived out of Plum. And before us today, the appellant has repealed or withdrawn the appeal. So inasmuch as there is no more appeal to entertain, I would ask that we move the approvals of these projects by the City Planning Commission.
City Attorney?
Council still needs to conduct the hearing of whoever put in their cards.
Okay.
And also, this is
applause.
This is a fair hearing matter requiring council's members' attention to the speaker or to their monitors at their desks.
Thank you.
And does that motion need a second, Mr. City Attorney?
I'd second.
Okay, thanks.
So let's bring up Mr. Spindler on 6 and Mr. Walsh on 6. Please come forward.
Thank you so much for this great project in South Olive Street. Thank you. We need more alcoholic consumption on 4,500 square feet. Because yesterday I went to the Energy Advisory Committee, and they're going to be exempt from all the new standards because they have less than 10,000 square feet in the alcohol area. So now you can drink all you want and be environmentally wasteful at the same time, which is good for the master plan of LA, which is bankruptcy and the complete destruction of the city. Let us all drink. All of you alcoholics, a shout out on South Olive Street. Please go to 820-826 South Olive Street and drink. Please go to 817 South Olive Street and get drunk. Please go to 819 South Olive Street and drink and drive. And finally, go to 825 South Hill Street. Drink away. It's over. We're over as a society. Please get drunk. Roll in the street. Hopefully sleep on the street. And don't urinate. Thank you.
Mr. Walsh, I believe, is next.
I like the camera angle now. John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, or Jay Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. Now, we had a big meeting on Wednesday, and you added a lot of new reward. For what? Drunk driving. Oh, no, hit and run. 99% of the people are drunk drivers. And what is this here? Another alcohol license. There is no freeze on alcohol consumption, places to drink. For convenience and necessity, there is no necessity for alcohol except for you drunks up here, drunk with power. And I'm telling you right now, and it was Mr. Buscaino, not me, that said that this city is the hit-and-run capital of the world. And I want people not here, but anyone who's watching it elsewise, that if you come to Hollywood or come to the city of Los Angeles, you will not have to go more than 50 to 150 feet to buy alcohol. You can drink as much as you want. You can get in the car. You can kill people. And who are, by far, the most people who are killed in hit-and-run drivers? 80 to 90% are minorities. And when somebody buys alcohol here, and where you're giving a license, and when that person gets drunk, and that person gets in the car, and that person kills somebody, the blood is on all 30 of your hands. Can you answer me one question? I know Mr. Bonin says that what I say is all garbage. I want to know how many people, how many rewards for hit-and-run driving in the past 20 years have been paid out. And I can tell you right now the answer is 1 1/4 of a century, and that was at Century City. You are indirect killers.
Your time is expired. Thank you. Okay, now let's vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Spindler, Walsh, and Herman, we're moving to item 7.
Well, it's a good example of what alcohol can do to you. All of a sudden, you wake up one day, you have big ears, and no one pays attention to the alcohol sales in LA anymore. We're so fine and dandy being drunk here, right, Mr. Englander? And what about all you who like to get permits for sales, for the rewards? You don't care about life. These people here today care about life because they're listening to what we say regarding the rewards on this past Wednesday, and now another and more so alcohol sales by Jose Huizar and CD14 downtown. That's all we need. Drunkenness, belligerent people walking over the streets so that the Sergeant of Arms, LAPD, can shoot us in the back because we're intoxicated because you influence us by the permission of alcohol at South Hope Street, well, 1215 South Hope Street, 1226 South Flower Street, 514, 518, 522 West 12th Street. This is disgusting, and you love it. I mean, look at you, pathetically offering permits for more alcohol in the city of drunkenness. And yet Sacramento and the DOJ, they're all listening to your repetitive arrogance of ignorance. Don't forget, you killed Dean Ferguson's son on that hit and run in the Santa Monica Mountains, wherever he was in the hell bike riding. And now victims are becoming disabled. And you have your rules against people who are disabled. You dislike them. You haven't fixed our sidewalk and streets because you rather give permits for alcohol instead of taking that money and fixing the goddamn sidewalk and streets so we don't slip and fall when we're drunk. See? That's why my special look today, like you, Mr. England.
Stay on the subject.
We have to control the sales of alcohol. No more issue of permits. Bye.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Walsh. I guess it's you.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, J. Walsh Confidential, or tweeting at Hollywood Dems. If I sound like a broken record, you're the broken record. This is another alcohol license. We don't have enough of them. It's very inconvenient to drink alcohol in this city. As I said, sometimes, and remember, those people get in their cars, and you know, one of these days, one of these drunks is going to get into the car and kill a member of your family because they've been killing members of our families for years. I'd like to see a vote. How many people here find it inconvenient to find a place to buy alcohol? How many people here? Zero. Zero people. But more and more alcohol licenses. You want an alcohol license? Simple. Just give a campaign contribution. This is the hit-and-run capital of the world.
Mr. Spindler?
So, again, these comments are brought to you by our good friends, 7-Eleven. More liquor licenses every day. Now, you know, when I came to this meeting, like certain members, I didn't really have coffee in here. I filled it up with liquor at one of our local liquor stores, open all day long for your alcoholic consumption. So what you do when you live in the city is you find your car keys, drive to the nearest liquor store. Oh, you have to drive there. I mean, come on, walking is so boring.
Let's get back on this subject.
It's more interesting to drink with a little bit of booze. Try it. It's quite fun to see if you can make it. Now, I'm really against 7F. When you get knocked down drunk, you got to have a place to pass. You're only allowing 8.2 dwelling unit trees. You need more trees so when people get out of there, and they have a tree is a great place to relieve yourself and also to barf. If you take too much alcohol, you might once in a while have to remove it from the other end. So, again, I'm in favor. Please, for God's sakes, come to downtown L.A., take in a Clipper playoff game on Sundays.
Stay on the subject.
Yeah, see the little anti-Clipper fan talks there. Now, go to 1201 and 1215 South Olive Street. Drink. Please go to 1200, 1212, 1218, 1224, 1226 South Flower Street, and you can drink. Oh, 514-518-5222 West 12th Street. My God, you can go there and get drunk, too. Wonderful. And then, if you lose your house, right across the street is Skid Row. Wonderful idea. Support it. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Weezar, we're good? You just want to move forward, or did you want to wrap this up?
Yes, I thought we were taking 6 and 7 together, but the same would apply that we, in light of the withdrawal of the appeal, that we approve these per the City Planning Commission.
Okay, members, let's prepare to vote on these items. So let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Mr. President, can we send both 6th and 7th forthwith, please?
No problem.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, let's recess the regular, go into the special, call the roll.
Blumenfeld, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Weezar, Carrasco, Corning, Labange, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Weston. 14 members present, a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. So on this item, I'd like to call Daniel, Gus, and Mr. Spindler.
Good morning, and as always, I'm just speaking because there seems to be no advocacy here, so I will use my time to speak as much as possible. Affordable housing is very important. Getting money to build the affordable housing is very important. But the problem is the city of Los Angeles has a history of taking bond money, construction money, and using it for things other than construction. For example, how many hundreds of millions of dollars did the city raise for construction bonds that went to the iPad program that the Securities and Exchange Commission is now investigating? So where did that money go, and why should the taxpayers...
Mr. President, he is not talking about this item.
I am talking about the honesty of funds being used for what you're telling the public that they're being used. Historically, the city has raised hundreds of millions of dollars and used it for something other than what the money was raised for. As an example, the John Deasy iPad...
Daniel, get back on the subject, please.
But the subject is that I am concerned that what you're voting on is not going to be used for what you say it is going to be voted on. And similarly, the Securities and Exchange Commission, it's in the news. I am concerned that you're trying to raise and fund money that we're paying for, that you're not
Hold his time.
Yeah.
Hold your time.
How
Mr.
is it not
City
on subject?
Attorney.
Even his analogy is referring to a school board matter and not a city council matter.
I am concerned that governments, of which this body is one, misuses that. And perhaps Mr. O'Connell can say whether or not Los Angeles City Council influences the LAUSD. Of course they do. This is just trying to deflect from legitimate criticism by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Use the money for what it's supposed to be, not for iPads. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. I think it was Spindler, followed by Mr. Herman, and followed by Mr. Walsh.
Again, segueing to alcohol, what's better than $80 million of corruption? Let's
Stay
give
on the
corruption in
subject.
hand. Corruption is in the air.
Stay on the subject, Mr.
It's spring. I am talking about
No,
the
you're
$80
not.
million. Stop violating the Brown Act, por favor. I'm going to speak in Spanish. The hell with it. Los ladrones y el negro en el centro es un ladrón. Muchísimos ladrones. No ellos son por los dueños pobres. Ellos son solo los ricos. Solo los ricos que contributan a los negocios de político. Ellos son...
Can we
no
stop?
quiere.
Stop for a second. We can't hear you. We need our interpreter.
I can speak in Chinese. Bang, bang, bang. No, I won't do it. No, that's fine. I'll
Hold
switch
his
way back
time.
to English, if you wish.
Is
I'll
he-
speak back in English. Oh, thank you. Now I'm allowed to talk. I can also do this in Russian, and I can do it in German. That's because my great uncle was
Stay
a
on the
Luftwaffe
subject.
He is not
captain.
talking about this
Stay on
matter.
the subject, Mr. Spindler, please.
I had Nazis in the family.
Stay
now we
on
have
the su-
Nazis here.
You're not on the
Now,
subject. Thank you very much.
I want to talk
So,
about...
Mr. Walsh, please come forward. No, you were warned several times. Okay, Mr. Walsh, please come forward. Please sit him down. Find your seat. Reset the clock.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or at J. Walsh Confidential, and tweeting at Hollywood Dems. Here, let's get right into this issue. This is federal money, TRFA money, that is supposed to be spent for building housing, for the multifamily housing revenue. What this doesn't say on the agenda is how many units. Okay, this is, incidentally, the only Skid Row is for rehabilitation. The other areas and Vermont Park Plaza, a minority neighborhood. In fact, you're building housing for people west of La Brea. But in fact, if you add this up, it's $80 million. Well, that sounds great, $80 million. The cost of building a unit in the street, in other words, in the free marketplace, is about 1/3 of what you spend for a comparable unit. About 1/3, not even that. In fact, right here, and you can contradict me, this $80 million will produce 80 units. You spend over $1 million a unit. You bring in your friends, and what is it? It's corruption. Everybody knows, and ask anyone who lives in a city-built unit, they fall apart. I don't have to go off the subject to point out what's going. Now, it's going to be a 15-0 vote. If you voted on sending me where Mayor Sam is, it would be 15-0. I mean, everything is 15-0 here, and the corruption is spread 1/15 apiece for this housing here. San Fernando Apartments, how many units? $26 million. Plus, you have other money you're putting in there. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, let's prepare to vote. Let's. Then maybe, I'm sorry, that could be my mistake. Mr. Herman?
Well, you heard it, $80 million of federal dollars for so-called wasted subsidized housing. That's the reason why we have homelessness in the city. But this has to do with a conduit multifamily housing revenue, an undue hardship created by our local officials to bamboozle all of us out of our American dream, having a home, having a roof, having a place to shower, not sleep on a sidewalk or a street. But they're going to kick us in the ass, like they said, at 9 a.m. because they want to change the rules. But again, who's to say that this undue hardship not only affects homeless people, but affects the American people, our veterans? Mr. Big Ears, as you're talking to Ms. Martinez, listen in. It's good advice. Because for how long? For 6 affordable housing developments? But yet you had those dumbass developers back in 2008 who corrupted the system, and we lost millions of dollars, and Jerry Brown shut you clowns down. Remember? Duh. And so, again, your only ambitious arrogance shows your stupidity to humanity to
Stay on the
provide
subject.
affordable housing by federal dollars. And yet at a local government level, to balance out checks and balance with federal and state, you created fraud, abuse, waste. Holler out to Zuma Dog, who brought it up back in his heyday at City Hall. And now we, the people, Hollywood John Walsh, Mr. Spindler,
Stay on
and
the subject.
I, with my big ears,
No,
keep
stay
telling
on
you
the subject.
that affordable housing doesn't exist in Los Angeles. So what point do you not understand? Stop asking for bonds and stop raising the taxes and put the goddamn money back to the people.
Thank you. All right, let's prepare to vote. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Can we adjourn this? Yes.
Forthwith on that item?
Forthwith on
Before you
this,
adjourn? Thanks.
on that item. And let's adjourn this special, go back to the regular.
Mr. President, that brings council to general public comment.
Okay. Daniel Gus, and I think this is Mr. Herman, a.k.a. Clemens.
Whoa, the lights are out.
Please come forward, Daniel.
Yeah, I hope that you adjourn today's meeting in memory of Michael Higbee, the founder or co-founder of Mayor Sam, for whatever discourse he brought to the public spotlight, as crazy and as fun it was. You know that you all read it at some point. I understand that he passed away the other day at age 50, and that's a loss because I think we all learned and we all read and we all had some fun with it. And I think we need more people like that. And unfortunately, this good man died very young, very young. Speaking of which, it's a perfect example of when people watch city council meetings. I really think for us, for John Walsh, for the Zuma Dogs, for the Armandos, the Miriams, and the Donnas, because we're the ones who are trying to get you to come out and vote. And when 9.2% of the people vote, this is the chaos that happens. And Mayor Sam did a good job for about a decade trying to get the discourse out there. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Herman, followed by Mr. Spindler, Mr. Walsh.
Wow, 1 minute of public comment. And yet here at Van Nuys, all the big ear people here don't really listen to the public's interests and concerns no more. But we're back to remind you that it's the taxpayers who demand action here today. Not you to dip into the Brown Act and say that we're in violation or offensive, because first of all, the city attorney is in violation of the Brown Act when he interrupted a speaker. Remember, you're not the chair. All you are is the city attorney representing the people for the people. So butt out of our business and allow the public to be heard, and don't violate our rights under the Brown Act, 54950 to 54963. You get it, Mr. McConnell? Do your job, protect the citizens, and let this horseshoe of foolishness get caught by we who expose you of all your illegal actions, fraud, abuse, and waste and corruption. Hooty-hoo to Zuma dog.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Walsh. Mr. Spindler, I think you're up next. Please come forward.
John Walsh at J. Walsh Confidential. This is what you'll see if you go tweeting. If you tweet tweet me at Hollywood Dems. This is Sunset and Vine. Gang graffiti. Yesterday, it's been up there for a week. Gang graffiti. Who owns Hollywood? Not the LAPD, not you, the gangs. They can put all the graffiti they want, and I want to thank Mr. Weezer for saving my life, because they had a vote in one of the gangs, and the vote was to shoot me dead. Weezer went to them and said, don't kill John Walsh, because if you do, the FBI will come in, and the FBI will find who did it, not the LAPD. I only exist, and I haven't been killed by the gangs, because they damn well know the FBI is going to come in here and watch this tape. And I'm going to tell you, I have a tape naming every single gang member that wants me dead. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Mr. Spindler, no applause. And Mr. Spindler and Mr. Previn, and I think it's Ishmael Rosales.
Wow. Assassinations? Should I be afraid? If you only knew what I did in the 90s. Okay, so now I hear these councilmen are against the LA Clippers. I can't believe you. The LA Clippers have home court advantage. Sunday they host the San Antonio Spurs. What a remarkable accomplishment by the LA Clippers and their new ownership. A year ago, they were trying to lynch black people. Now they are the kings of LA sports. And yet this council interrupts me when I mention the word Clippers. Clippers, Clippers, Clippers. What is it, the new N-word? Clippers, Clippers, Clippers. Go Clippers. Can any of you support our Clippers? They did everything great. Support the LA Clippers. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Previn, Rosales, Quasi, please come forward. Jessica Lux, please get ready to come forward.
Good morning, good morning, Council President Wesson. It's Eric Previn, and I would request just a little more than a minute because I have a couple of items I'd like to address. The Ethics Commission of the City of Los Angeles is meeting on April 21, which is next week, and I think that that's good. They missed the last meeting, so we are very concerned and would like to hear what's happened in January and February. There is posting on their agenda about what happened in March. We are pleased that Mr. Krikorian has made some disclosures and is going to make some, a motion perhaps. I don't know if it will be at that meeting. It's not on the agenda. And also to return some contributions regarding that state assembly trifle that we're moving forward quickly past, I assume. I would also like to direct your attention to the auditor controller who will be reporting back about just sort of the standards for the kind of documentation we do here at the city, and I hope that we'll take an interest there. And, sir, I liked what the city attorney said about requiring the council members to pay attention. That was a good one, and I wanted to get what standard that was that we are pointing to there. And finally, the Studio City Sherman Oaks Encino publication.
Thank you so much. Next, do I have Quasi or Mr. Rosales? You know, I only give everybody the same amount of time. So, Mr. Rosales, followed by Quasi, followed by Jessica Lux. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi. I'm here to address, I'm in CD2. I'm a newly elected member of the North Hollywood Northeast Neighborhood Council, and we're setting up a new committee called the Eco Resilience Committee. We didn't think this was going to be necessary for this quickly, but it seems like the drought has spurred our investment in this opportunity, especially addressing our two concerns are a project that's going to be built in CD2 called NoHo West. It's going to be a very interesting 300,000 plus retail facility. The question is, we like this idea. I think redevelopment is exciting, but we just need to think differently. Instead of saying, no, we shouldn't build this, we just say, how about we build it to the green building standard, recycling our water. The drought is not something that's going to go away. And also there's something called the community care facilities. I have a brochure that dropped off my house. All these projects are becoming nursing homes in my area.
Thank you very much. Quasi, Jessica Lux, Cynthia Johnston.
Good morning. I'm Quasi Nkrumah. I'm the co-chair of the Martin Luther King Coalition of Greater Los Angeles. I'm also the president of the Greater Echo Park Elysian Neighborhood Council. I have some issues related to both groups. First, on behalf of the Martin Luther King Coalition, which is part of the Southern California Committee for the Observance of International Women's Day, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Wesson, and you, Mr. Cedillo, and your staff for your support for the International Women's Day activity last year. There were some glitches, but I understand they've been cleared up, and thank you very much. And I'd like to urge all council members to support the observance of International Women's Day here in Los Angeles, working with women activists in particular. Secondly, as president of the Neighborhood Council in Echo Park, I want to speak to you, council members, about providing adequate staffing for the neighborhood councils in the city. These are the grassroots structures for citizen input.
Thank you. That's your time. Thank you. Now again, Jessica Lux, Cynthia Johnston, Catalina Gayton. Yes.
Good morning. I read in the LA Times on April 1st that the LA City Council is looking to pass a new law criminalizing the act of sleeping in a car or recreational vehicle. I have never addressed City Council before, but this is an issue that personally affects me, so I would like to register my opposition to this ordinance. I lost my home in a foreclosure in fall of 2011. When I was going through eviction, unemployed, there were nights when my vehicle was my only shelter. The decision to sleep in my car was not a criminal act. It was an act of desperation, of having no other choice. I was scared, low on funds, uncertain about the future. Threatening me with arrest, a fine, and a criminal record would not have deterred me because my car was and still is my only real property. I am not a nuisance. I obey traffic laws and do not present a threat to anyone. If, as the newspaper reported, car campers are illegally dumping trash, there are already laws against that. A law prohibiting resting in our own private property would only exacerbate Los Angeles' homelessness problem instead of alleviating it.
Thank you. So if I can get Cynthia, no applause, Cynthia Johnston, Catalina Gayton, and Terry Dykeman. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia Johnston, and I am speaking for myself, a senior citizen of Los Angeles. For the last 5 years that I lived in Granada Hills, I saved and planned for my retirement. All my friends knew my retirement dream. Many of them contributed money to my dream to have an RV and go mobile. I accomplished that dream in January. I have my RV. I've been traveling the state as I plan to do, visiting my friends and parking outside their homes while I visit because I want to have the comforts of my own home as a senior citizen who has insomnia. I wake up at 4 and 5, and it's not comfortable waiting for my friends to wake up. So I can have the comforts of my own home while still visiting my friends in an RV that is perfectly legal, licensed, clean. I do not put sewage on the street. Thank you.
Thank you. If I could have the next speaker please come forward. Please come and just identify yourself.
I'm Terry. I lived for a long time in a home in Canoga. I'm now homeless, living in my car. I'm also not medicated, diabetic, amputee. There are no resources for me out there. I wish you people would spend the money to help us. Give us back our homes. Thank you.
No, thank you. So is this Catalina?
Hola, mi nombre es Catalina Gaitán y yo vengo.
Okay, we need.
Sí, yo vengo aquí para defender mis derechos porque yo soy propietaria de mi casa.
I'm here to defend my rights because I am a homeowner.
Y ya estoy sabiendo que muchas personas les están quitando sus casas.
And I know that many people are losing their homes.
Y tengo problemas con el banco, me quiere quitar mi casa, yo no quiero ir a vivir en un carro con mis hijos.
And I have problems with the bank. They want to take my house away, and I don't want to live in a car with my children.
Tengo mis hijos y mis nietos, y yo no quiero estar viviendo en un carro porque, ¿qué dirán? Que estoy con muchos sacrificios, estoy pagando mi casa.
I have my children and my grandsons, and what would you guys say that with a lot of sacrifice, I'm paying for my house?
Le estoy echando muchas ganas a trabajar para salir adelante y para defender mi propiedad.
I'm working very hard to keep going and to defend my property.
Y voy a seguir luchando para que ya no haya embargos para las personas que les están quitando sus casas.
And I will continue fighting to avoid liens on people that are taking their house away.
Y estoy muy agradecida porque estoy en un programa de Ecopaya Ley Foreclosure, porque esta persona nos están abriendo los ojos para muchos propietarios del este de Los Ángeles.
And I am very glad because I am in a program where they're helping us to keep our house, and that program is keeping our eyes open to keep our house.
Y a esta persona que nos está ayudando, estoy muy agradecida con él porque si no fuera por él, ya estuviera viviendo en la calle.
And I am very helpful with this person that is helping us because if it wasn't for him, I would be living on the street.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if I could have Carlos Mataquin, Laura Greenstein, Martha Hernandez, please come forward.
Good morning, members of the council, and congratulations to those new members. My name is Carlos Mataquin. I'm an organizer with Occupy Fights Foreclosures. The reason for our visit here today is because we came to know the fact that you're entertaining a motion to introduce a new law to ban people from sleeping in their cars. We not only think it's wrong, but we think that the victims that are already living out there in their cars because they lost their homes to foreclosures will further hurt them. There are no resources out there. When people lose their homes, they literally are on their own. We need something done. There's plenty of money out there to be able to help these victims. The fact is that Governor Brown took $410 million to balance the budget out of the money that belonged to homeowners. We need to spend our time and efforts trying to find resources for these people, not furthering oppressing them. Thank you.
No, thank you. So, if just please come forward and state your name. It's okay.
Good morning. I don't want homeless
Your name?
Oh, I'm so sorry. My name is Laurel Greenstein. I was born and raised in the West San Fernando Valley. I don't want homeless people sleeping in their cars in my neighborhood. My parents worked very hard so that we would always live in nice neighborhood with good families in clean houses. I'm middle class to the core. That's not just a financial status, it's a lifestyle and it's values. Those are values that I retained when I moved to a huge home with a grand view of the valley and had a limo and a driver. And those are values that maintain now when I say I don't want people living in their cars in my neighborhood, and my neighborhood is now wherever I park my car. Wells Fargo submitted false statements and to a court.
Thank you. Thank you for your public comment. Martha Hernandez, Josefina Perez, Marta Rojas.
Hola, mi nombre es Marta Hernández. Estoy aquí
Hi,
para,
my name is Marta Hernandez. Here I am.
Para decirle que lo criminal no es vivir en un carro.
To tell you that criminality is not living in a car.
Lo criminal es lo que el gobierno y el banco hicieron con el pueblo,
What is criminal is what the government and the bank did with the people,
porque toda la gente estamos perdiendo la casa.
because all the people are losing their homes.
Yo perdí 3 casas y vivo en la calle.
I lost 3 houses and I live on the street.
Trabajé durante toda mi vida 2 trabajos
I worked all my life 2 jobs,
y ahorita no tengo crédito bueno
and right now I don't have a good credit,
y tengo mis manos cruzadas.
and I have my hands crossed.
Por favor, ayúdenos
Please help
y no
us,
criminalicen a las personas que viven en la calle o en el carro.
and do not penalize people who live on the streets nor in their cars.
Thank you. So if I could get Miss Josefina Perez, Marta Rojas, and Felipe Gonzalez. Yes, ma'am.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Josefina Pérez.
Good morning, my name is Josefina Perez.
Yo perdí mi casa,
I lost my home.
me sacaron viví en la calle por 3 semanas en mi carro
I lived on the street for 3 weeks in my car
con mis nietos, mis 3 hijos, mi esposo y yo.
with my children, my son, my husband, and I.
Trabajamos duro para tener algo.
We worked very hard to have something.
El banco no quiso modificarnos, mandó al sheriff.
The bank didn't want to modify, and then he sent us the sheriff.
Sin avisarme, llegaron y no me dejaron sacar mi medicina,
Without letting me know, they took me out and they didn't let me get my medicine.
nada.
Nothing.
Ni mi comida que ella tenía hecha para mis niños y para nosotros.
Not even my food that I had prepared for my children and us.
Solo todo se echó a perder, todo se quedó ahí.
Everything went bad and everything stayed
Y
there,
nosotros en la calle.
and we were in the street.
Mi crédito se arruinó, no nos querían rentar por el crédito malo.
My credit became bad and then didn't want to rent a place for us because my credit.
Hasta que una persona se compadeció de mí y nos rentó una casita. Gracias a Dios, ahorita estamos viviendo.
Until a person was very sorry for us and she rented a house where right now we're living.
Perdón, pero es que todavía siento muy feo.
I'm sorry, but I
Hay
still
que
feel
darle sin
myself
nada.
very bad about losing everything.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if I could get Marta Rojas, Felipe Gonzalez, Magdaleno Padilla. Yes.
Good morning. My name is Martha Rojas. I'm also with Occupied Fights Foreclosure. I came here today to let you know that the foreclosures episode is not finished with. We're losing more homeowners in all the cities. The voters are leaving. They're not there. And by passing this ordinance that we heard that is going to be passed for the people not to be able to live in their cars or their mobile homes is something shameful, something unconstitutional, because the homeowners don't have a place to go. Once they lose their home, they're thrown out by the sheriff out in the street, just like Josefina said. They don't have time to take their medicine or not even their clothes. So this is still going on, and it's getting worse and worse every time. Just because you don't hear it in the news, we are out there helping the people. We are volunteers. We have the group here, and there's more of us, but they couldn't make it here. But we're asking you to please see what's going on, see the real truth in your cities. You're still losing homeowners. You're still losing voters. Thank you.
Thank you. Felipe Gonzalez, Magdalena Padilla, Irma Martinez, Harriet Elliott.
Good morning, Mr. My name is Felipe Gonzalez. I'm here to let you know that I'm being in a battle with the bank for over 6 years, and even with the evidence of fraud, we still not having help. And I with Occupy Foreclosures together because of their people that were losing their houses. They don't deserve to be on the street just because of the failures of the banks. We need help, and please help all these people that they're on the streets. Thank you.
No, thank you, sir. Please come forward and identify yourself and state your name.
Buenos días, soy Magdaleno Padilla.
Good morning, my name is Magdaleno Padilla.
Y pues estoy aquí, yo tuve 3 propiedades.
And here I am because I had 3 properties.
Tenía mi trabajo y lo perdí.
I had my job and I lost it.
Entonces traté de que hablar con los bancos que ya no tenía pues entrada de dinero.
And then I tried to speak with the banks since I didn't have any income coming in.
Me lo negaron porque tenía 3 propiedades.
They denied it because I had 3 properties.
Perdí 2 propiedades.
I lost 2 properties.
Y mi casa la estoy perdiendo porque no tengo trabajo.
And I'm losing my home because I don't have a job.
Y estoy deshabilitado.
And I am disabled.
Y pues de momento no hay ni qué hacer. Estoy como dijo una compañera con los brazos cruzados porque no hay qué hacer.
At this point, I don't have anything to do, and I am like one of my colleagues said, I am with my hands crossed because I don't have anything else to do.
Y lo mismo, no quiero pasar como otra gente viviendo en el carro.
I don't want to go through the same thing as other people living in a car.
Y es todo, gracias.
That's all, thank you.
Thank you. So if I could have the next person and come identify yourself.
I'm Harriet Elliott. On Wednesday's meeting, I tried to follow the city attorney over to Michael Fuhr's office across the street to get clarification about how to close my deceased son's case. My private investigator said that if the city council can get a resolution to tell the LAPD to close the case, there is no question of officer-involved shooting. This is no reason for the LAPD to be defensive about this case. I understand that Gloria Molina tried to get the sheriffs to show the murder book, and they were very defensive. I only want, I'm not looking for money. I'm only looking for what happened. We need to know what happened, and I need to know how to get that case closed. I have 5 pages of signatures. We're also trying to amend the law.
Thank you. Is it Miss Martinez?
No.
Please. No, I know. Miss Martinez, please come forward.
Good morning. My name is Irma, and I'm trying to get a modification with the bank. I've been fighting for a long time, first with Bank of America, then Bank of America sent me to another bank, and then the other bank sold the note to somebody else. The thing is, in the process of everything, they put the house in foreclosure, and I'm desperate. I don't want to become a homeless. I don't want to become like a lot of people right now sleeping in the car. I'm a single mom, but I work hard, and I want to keep my home. I don't want to be part of the people who's suffering in the car with children and so worried. Another thing I'm dealing with is an issue with the LAWP. They send bills for like $1,500 to all the neighbors, and there is no way we can get any help with that. Please help us to fix the problem.
Thank you. So if I could get Mark Lipman, and I'm not sure, is it Antony? Please, Anieta, please come forward. Mr. Lipman, would you like to go first?
Hi, thank you very much. Here today to talk about this new ban on sleeping in vehicles that's being proposed. As an active member of the community, we try very strongly to work with our council people to make the right resolutions for our communities. Unfortunately, we find that way too often the council and all our politicians are more interested to find out what they can get away with instead of what's in the public interest. By putting this new unconstitutional ban forward, It's crossing the line with the community, and at that point, there's no turning back. And if this does go forward, just putting the council on notice, the rest of your political careers will be fighting off recall elections. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. My name is Antonieta Villamil. I'm a poet and also lost a house. And I witnessed the best workers of my generation lose their jobs and their homes to greedy financial advisors and paid by bankers. A house that flies from a dream makes you homeless. The river-like house in my dream has to make a tomorrow. The house on my shoulder carries me along the road. Now with my children, my homeless heart wanders the sharp razor, the razor-sharp night. I carry a house on a dream made up of tomorrow. I am the homeless house on the street, and all my dreams piled up in a car. I have a dream that turns into a nightmare. A house of earth in my dream needs a key to enter. A house of fire dreams.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I can't give you any more time than anyone else. Thank you all for coming. That concludes general public comment. Mr. City Attorney, if we could deal with special one.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will recite the facts as presented to me by the maker of the motion for the Council's consideration of the adequacy of the findings. On April 1st, City Council took certain actions regarding the LA RICS LTE project. Since the posting of today's agenda, on April 14th, LA RICS presented a corrective action plan to the Board of Supervisors. The board approved the reduction from a 177-site to 63-site corrective action plan. The United States Department of Commerce has requested City Council action consistent with the county action by Monday, April 20th, in order to assure that the project move forward. Council must first make findings pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2 before considering the substantive motion.
Okay, let's take that vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Englander. I do have some public comment, however you want to play it.
Let's go ahead and, before we go to public comment, there's been a lot of conversation and dialogue between the county, LA RICS, the Department of Commerce, and we've actually, as you just heard, rewrote the corrective action plan on behalf of the city as well with LA RICS. That was submitted, and the Department of Commerce just indicated to us as of late yesterday they will make a decision and want our answer for inclusion on this limited basis by Monday. And so what's before you is a motion that we worked very, very closely with the Los Angeles Police Protective League on, as well as all the stakeholders involved, and supported by the mayor as well. And so if we can go ahead and just open it up to public comment. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Repovich. Followed by Mr. Herman.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for letting us say a few things, but I'd like to read for the record Peter Repovich, Police Protective League Director. First and foremost, our primary goal is to protect the men and women of the LAPD. The Los Angeles Police Protective League wants to thank and give our appreciation to Councilman Englander for working very closely with us to address all of our concerns. We also want to go on record that we support this motion. However, if LA RICS fails to live up to the spirit of the motion, then we will be forced to oppose this. In addition, we want to ensure that this system is viable, and if the Joint Power Authority cannot complete and build this project in a timely manner, as outlined in the corrective action plan, then we will be opposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next. And I think after you, if we could get Mr. Spindler. Yes, Mr. Herman.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it would be nice if there was an agenda out there for us to basically talk about the subject that the first speaker spoke about. It just shows you that transparency and the lack of arrogance and ignorance to provide the public with this special ahead of time would be more appropriate. Instead, you show the public how incompetent you can truly be when you have no transparency. So, again, I say that this item that we're speaking about be postponed and put to the side on a hold until the conduct of this horseshoe can be open to the public. We want to know specific. We want an itemized reason behind this scheme of yours before you say, I vote, oh yes, tabulate the vote bullshit. Because, again, provide us the agenda. We know what the hell to speak about.
Okay, Mr. Spindler.
Special. You didn't know about it? You didn't know about it until 10 minutes ago? Of course you knew about it. But you waited till the way end of the meeting before all the people showed up losing their houses. Now you're going to build something. Even the cops say they doubt this project. Even the cops, they don't want it. You've got to stop this. Stop this madness on this special motion. Stop this madness. Step back from the corruption. Step back from the issue. Take the weekend off. Go to South Hill Street and drink, and then look at this agenda item, and you can vote in a smoke-filled room and put it back on the agenda for Tuesday so I can read it. I want to read this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I do not have another card on this. So I figured you did. That's why I said I didn't have one. So go right ahead, Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. You don't know, people out there don't know what they're talking about, what they are talking about here. Okay, what is LA RICS? This is the Los Angeles Regional Interoperable Communication System. It's supposed to be for public safety LTE cell sites. You voted against this earlier in the month. This move could undermine the largest first responder project in the country, according to several services. There's a lot going on here, but you're not going to hear a damn word about that because it was fixed. And the scumbag reporters in this city, what garbage they are. They line up like Monica Lewinsky in front of Herb Wesson. HollywoodHighlands.org. LA RICS LTA project in peril after LA City Council votes to stop construction. The most important thing you try to slide through. And the only reason you know about it is because we told you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Huizar, you wanted to?
I just...
no applause.
Thank you for the applause. I just wanted to ask, have we selected the sites, or would there be some input from the community as to where these sites will be located and any concerns?
I defer to Mr. Englander.
Yeah, so
from the local community?
Yeah, essentially, so that is one of the missions and core functions of LA RICS, and calling for the action for greater stakeholder outreach as well. But more importantly, the CAP plan is a limited plan now, scaling it back to opening up the various police stations because they already have the communication towers on them.
Okay. So if I just want to make sure that they don't go up and then we get complaints, concerns from our local constituents, and there will be an opportunity for the public to provide input, and they will be given notice as to where these sites will be placed.
I couldn't agree more. And in fact, if you look at the county plan, it's scaled back from the original hundreds of locations to, I think, down to 47 or so. But in the city side, again, it's going to be looking at, we've already eliminated the fire stations because the geographical constraints in terms of the footprint of those, most of the stations, a lot of them don't have communication towers on them already. Unlike police stations, they have existing equipment, much greater footprint. There's a lot more area to mitigate and work around a police station, particularly they have large parking lots and other things, but they also have the infrastructure already in place at every police station versus most of the fire stations. So that's really what this addresses.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Blumenfield.
I want to thank Mr. Englander for working hard to get this back up and running. We're talking about, just to keep our eye on the ball here. Not only is this a tremendous amount of federal money, but what's at stake here is a communication system, an interoperability communication system for emergency situations. We've been told in the past one of the problems that happens is that police departments can't communicate to other departments, et cetera. This is a major federal grant to allow us to improve our communication that will help with public safety and will help in emergency situations. Mr. Englander worked very hard to make sure we could have a system that could help, that would prevent this project from basically being stopped, as was the Department of Commerce's previous action. So this is a good measure to move us forward, and I urge an aye vote.
Thank you. With that said, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll. Oh, Mr. Englander?
I thought there was another speaker on the queue. I've got one technical amendment.
Go right ahead.
In the record. We further move, it's one more further move, that if it is in fact already in the cap list, and we're going to reconfirm that it is first, that the proposed LA RICS location at the San Vicente Peak be reevaluated for an alternative or less intrusive location, either masking or mitigation design be considered, or that one of the cellular on wheels, the COW systems, be implemented instead, if possible, and that LA RICS report back to the council member of that specific district.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
I'll second it. Let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Forthwith?
Urgent forthwith on that as well. Thank you.
Okay, that, Madam Clerk, brings us where?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Okay, those items are posted and referred.
That clears the desk.
Members? Announcements? Mr. O'Farrell?
Thank you, Mr. President. As was mentioned earlier in the week, it is the 150th anniversary of the assassination of our great liberator, Abraham Lincoln. And there are memorial tributes, including one this Sunday, April 19th at 2 o'clock, exactly 150 years after the original Los Angeles service after his death. Please join the nonpartisan gathering at St. Athanasius Episcopal Church at 840 Echo Park Avenue to hear the priest Elias Birdsall's sermon reread during an observance with lively period music provided by the Episcopal Choral Society. Calls to action will be delivered by Bishop J. John Bruno of the Episcopal Diocese and Narinjan Singh Khalsa, President of the Los Angeles City Human Relations Commission. The significance of the church is that the parish's first priest, Elias Birdsall, delivered the public funeral oration for President Lincoln, as I mentioned, exactly 150 years ago to the date, this coming Sunday. Elected officials, the public, everyone's invited to attend, and it should be a very, very interesting and moving experience, and it's this coming Sunday, 2 o'clock, as I mentioned.
Mr. Koretz?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to remind everyone that on Sunday this evening, our beloved LA Clippers are going to be playing in their first playoff game at Staples Center against San Antonio, so hopefully we will support them in whatever way we can and spur them on to victory.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. Any other announcements, Mr. Buscaino?
Thank you. For all those viewing on Channel 35, reminder, we heard from Damien on Wednesday when we put together our hit and run reward motion. This Sunday in Mr. O'Farrell's district, his Finish the Ride event will take place at 4910 Sunset Boulevard. Myself, Mr. O'Farrell, Mr. Englander, Mr. LaBonge will all join Damien and his bike riders. Kicks off at 7:30 in the morning, again at 4910 Sunset Boulevard. The check-in is at 6 in the morning. We'll have a national anthem at 7:25, and then we'll kick it off at 7:30. And thanks to my colleagues for supporting Damien and his efforts and Finish the Ride. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz.
Yes, and on a more serious note, this Sunday at Pan Pacific Park in the morning, there will be Jewish World Watch's Walk to End Genocide, and in the afternoon from 1:45 to 4 o'clock, there will be the annual Yom HaShoah Holocaust commemoration there as well.
Thank you very much. Any other announcements? If everyone could please rise. For adjourning motions, I'll look to my right side first. Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. If Councilmember LaBonge was here, he would join me in this one, announcing the passing of Mildred Schwartz. I adjourn that we ask I ask that we adjourn in her memory today. Mildred Schwartz completed her 96-year journey that began in Brooklyn as the daughter of Irving and Rose Seidman. Her life took a dramatic and romantic turn when she met Sherwood Schwartz on the boardwalk of Rockaway Beach, and he swept her away to Hollywood, where he was a writer for Bob Hope, along with his older brother, Albert. She was a supportive wife and an unwavering vocal fan of her husband's hit TV series, Gilligan's Island and The Brady Bunch. She was an accomplished artist and sculptor and a masterful bridge player while raising 4 children, Dawn, Lloyd, Ross, and Hope. Known by her grandchildren, Julie, Jill, Andy, Jackie, Nico, Becky, Ilse, and Elliot, and great-grandchildren, Rachel, Sarah, Evan, Aiden, Sawyer, Sydney, Addison, and Asher, as Nanny, she delighted in her expanding family. She and Sherwood supported numerous worthy charities and children's hospitals. She was a gracious and elegant hostess, and she and her smile and keen wit will be greatly missed by her devoted friends and family. I'm just so thrilled that I got to meet them both many, many years ago. Mildred Schwartz passed away on Thursday, April 9th. May she rest in peace.
Thank you. I'm still looking to my right. Mr. Koretz, Mr. Prices. I now go to my left. Mr. Blumenfield.
Thank you. I have 2 adjourning motions today. First, I'd like us to adjourn in the memory of Irwin Gaines. Irwin was the father of someone who many of us know, Fred Gaines. Irwin Gaines lived in my district in Woodland Hills. He passed away on April 12th at the age of 79. He was born in Chicago, moved to Los Angeles in 1956 after his service in the United States Army in Europe. He came to the Valley to set down roots in 1962. Irwin was a businessman, an inventor. He received numerous patents for medical supply products. He cared about his community. He volunteered in the community. He served as coach and the president of the Victory National Little League. In his whatever little spare time he had, he liked to fish and go to Dodger games. He's survived by his wife of 58 years, Arlene, his sons, Calabasas City Councilman Fred Gaines and Jeffrey Gaines, who lives in Tarzana. They both live with their wives, Jill Gaines and Vivian Gaines, and their 5 granddaughters, his 5 granddaughters, Danielle, Stephanie, Allison, Samantha, and Carla. May he rest in peace. I'd also like to adjourn in the memory of Robert Tushin. Robert Tushin passed away on March 13th at the age of 79. I'm good friends with his son, Robert. Robert Tushin is an attorney. His son, Mike Tushin, is an attorney, he's a friend, and he's someone who's very active. You may know him involved in AIPAC. Mike is the salt-of-the-earth kind of guy, and I know that goes to how he was raised by his father. His father, Robert, was born in Chicago, grew up in San Diego, attended San Diego State. He joined the Naval Air Reserves, was very proud of his 8 years of service, attended Fresno State, had a master's degree in political science. He settled in Los Angeles County, where he lived up until just recently. Robert Lee Tushin is survived by his daughter, Stanley Tushin Schulman, son, Michael Tushin, son-in-law, Edward Schulman, daughter-in-law, Meryl Shapiro Tushin, sister, Phyllis Levine, and grandchildren, Jessica Tushin and Jordan Tushin. May he rest in peace as well.
Mr. Buscaino, did I see your hand?
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask we adjourn in memory of Miss Freddie Mae Reeves of Watts. Lived in Watts for over 40 years. She raised 6 children. She's a member and daughter of the co-founders of Ajalon Temple of Truth Baptist Church, where she diligently served on the Mother's Board. The community loved and respected her work. She volunteered at 96th Street Elementary School as a teacher's aide, served on various parent committees in Watts, and was a member of the Douglas Alumni Los Angeles chapter and the Order of the Eastern Star. She cooked Sunday dinner every week for family, neighbors, and church members, community members who may not have had the ability to eat, and believed in the 3 F's, family, food, and fun. In her occupation as a barber, she often gave free haircuts to community members and children who could not afford them. And she often said, when people look good, they feel good about themselves. She leaves 3 loving daughters, Sharon, Tamara, and Larissa, 10 grandchildren, 18 great-grandchildren, and a host of relatives and friends. May Freddie May Reeves rest in peace. Thank you.
Mr. Bonnet.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'd like to ask that we adjourn today in memory of Michael Higbee, who was the creator and force behind the blog Mayor Sam. He was frequently, a very strong and harsh critic of this body and of the city in general, but he was a man who I knew to have an enormous love for the city of Los Angeles. He was a creative guy who saw the ability and the importance of blogging as a way to get people engaged. Mayor Sam predates a lot of the blogs and Nextdoor and all the stuff we see today. He died suddenly and unexpectedly on Wednesday at the age of 50, just after soon before that losing his mother, Judith, who passed away a few days before. So may he rest in peace.
Mr. Cedillo.
Yeah, I won't join in that effort. But I do want to attach myself, Mr. Bloomfield, to the passing of Robert Tushin. His son is a very great young man, very civically engaged. That's a product of the parenting. And so I attach myself to that, Mr. President.
I'm still looking to my lap. Okay, members, this meeting is adjourned.